Today's video is sponsored by Hit Point Press and their Big Bads, new campaign-ready monsters each and every month. Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we're going to be talking about the Infernal Rider Ranger from Crystalpunk, which is kind of a fantasy cyberpunk crossover. You get the feel of cyberpunk, but it still stays in the fantasy setting.
Yes. Again, we're ankle deep here. We're
yes. Not. If you're new to the channel, what we're going to do is go over all the abilities gained in the subclass.
Yep.
Then we're going to rate the roleplay, combat, and synergy based on how the abilities gained improve on the base class abilities. Right. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to be entered in our D&D Beyond Players Bundle giveaway.
Free stuff!
Let's just get right into it. Alex, Infernal Rider, what do we get?
We are ready to ride. That's what we are. We're ready to ride. We get the mending, cantrip, and proficiency in all vehicles. That's going to be there's a reason for that. I mean, hence the term. Also, you learn an additional spell which you reach certain levels in this class. Again, that list is Speediest Retreat, Blur, Haste, Freedom of Movement, and Pass Wall.
All right.
So, list of ranger spells you get. So, and again, all about speed and movement.
You want to go fast?
I wasn't going to say it, but I did.
So the main thing this subclass is built around is, you guessed it, a combat cycle. Yeah. So if you're feeling some Ghost Rider vibes,
boy, do we have the subclass for you.
You gain access to a special arcane cycle, which is a motorbike-like mechanical vehicle that you can utilize in and out of combat. And just a side tangent here, it doesn't have to be fully mechanical. You can make it more, you can make it like a, spectral thing or whatever flavor. You don't have to stick it exactly how it's on here. So I just have to put that little plug in there because some people will be like, I don't want mechanical stuff in my games. Reflavor it. Anyways, it is powered by
Put a different coat of paint on it.
Exactly.
Go on.
And here's the thing too. It is powered by your choice of two tiny fiends, such as imps or quasits. So with that, it could be like a chariot, for example, if you wanted it to.
Yeah, I want two radioactive hamsters.
There you go, some
with
space
like,
hamsters.
With like 26 legs.
There you go. The vehicle can magically compress into a small rod, which you can carry on your person. As a bonus action on your turn, you can touch the rod to have it expand, into the cycle under you, provided there is enough space to do so. You can also use your bonus action to turn the cycle back into the rod if you are riding it. The cycle is a large, with asterisk on there, which says when you're playing on a 5-foot grid, it's a 2x1, not a 2x2, so little note. Magical vehicle.
Slender.
With an AC equal to your wisdom score, not your modifier, your score, and a number of hit points equal to 4 times your ranger level. It is immune to poison and psychic damage as well as all conditions. If it's forced to make an ability check or save, treat all of its scores as equal to your wisdom score. It compresses back into a small rod when it's reduced to 0 hit points and can't turn back into a cycle until it regains at least 1 hit point. When the mending spell is cast on it in either form, it regains 2d6 hit points. Only you can ride the cycle. While riding it, your movement each turn is 60 feet, but when you move, you cannot rotate more than 90 degrees each turn. So you have a little bit of limited mobility on there.
Can't be doing these crazy little spinny loopty tricks going on.
At least not off the bat.
Not yet, anyway.
At the start of each of your turns, you can choose a different direction for the bike, turning it on the spot before you begin moving. Any increase to your speed applies to the cycle while you ride it, including if you take the dash action. Creatures have disadvantage on opportunity attacks against you and your cycle while you ride it. While you ride your cycle, you can force any attack targeted at you to target it, or vice versa.
Yep.
So that is definitely very helpful, and we have thoughts on that.
Yep.
If you move the cycle for at least 3 turns in a single direction, it can move to its max speed of 700 feet and acts as a regular vehicle using the arcane cycle stat block, which is later on in the book, which we'll put on screen. Even though your cycle acts as a regular vehicle, in this case, you cannot fit it with vehicle upgrades, which again is just part of the modifications for this campaign setting.
Also level 3, because we haven't got off level 3 yet. Momentum Strike. If you move at least 20 feet in a straight line, then hit with a melee weapon attack, it deals an extra 1d4 damage to the target. Extra damage increases to 1d6 when you reach level 11 in this class. In the class, Ranger, subclass, no multi-classing. It's not character level in this class. Level 7, we also have Fiendish Power. While you're riding your cycle, you can use a bonus action to get the infernal power from inside the fiends that are running around and powering your cycle. Just imagine them like being exhausted, like just imagine them huffing and puffing inside there. Sorry, rabbit trail. Anyway, you can choose one of the following benefits when you do so. You get a flame trail. The next time your cycle moves on that turn, it leaves behind a 1 foot wide, 5 foot high trail of fire until it stops moving. The trail disappears after 1 minute. Creatures can see, move, and make range attacks through the trail, but whenever a creature passes through it or ends its turn within the trail, it must make a dexterity saving throw. It takes fire damage equal to 2d8 plus your wisdom modifier on a failed save and half as much on a successful one. We also have Infernal Flight for the other choice. Your cycle has a flying speed of 30 feet for the next minute and has the ability to hover for the duration. You can use either of these features a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all spent uses when you finish a long rest.
All right. Level 11, we get Ramming Strike. When you deal extra damage of the Momentum Strike while riding your combat cycle, you can have the target make a strength save against your spell save DC if they are no larger than huge. On a failed save, they are carried along with your cycle until it stops moving. If you hit a solid surface, both the cycle and the target stop moving early, and the target is knocked prone. So, yeah, you can ram them and move them along the way.
Ramming speed! At level 15, we also have Evasive Maneuvers. You can nimbly maneuver your cycle in combat. When you move on your cycle, there is no limit to how many times you can rotate each turn. So that initial limitation to only 90 degrees worth of turning is now bupkis. You can just do all the whirling dervishes you desire. Additionally, when the cycle is subjected to an effect that allows it to make a dexterity saving throw to take only half damage, it instead takes no damage on a success and half as much on a failure. You also gain this benefit while you are riding the cycle.
You get evasion.
Yes.
But yeah, those are all the abilities gained in the subclass. Let's just jump straight into the rating portion. First up is the roleplay asterisk, as always. Talking about roleplay, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside of the initiative order. Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background, that's on you as a player. We can't rate you, but we can rate the abilities gained in the subclass, how they might improve your potential in those roleplay scenarios. So going along with the Infernal Rider, you get a couple good exploration spells, lots of movement, mobility kind of things.
Movement. So much
Definitely.
of that.
And then the other thing is the cycle, if you're able to, go for 3 turns in a row, you get to that full movement speed, which is 700 feet, which I believe they say is 80 miles per hour, so you can book it and cover some distance pretty quickly if you want to scout ahead really quickly. And if things go south, you can turn around and might take a little bit of damage, but you'll get away from them.
Yep.
Is the good thing. Mm-hmm. So there is that.
And plus you have Expeditious Retreat too, so you really can just go run away if you want to get out of there.
Yeah.
You are Captain Get Out of Trouble. Yeah.
And then Flame Trail can help for certain niche circumstances, like, for example, chases. Again, someone's trying to chase you. You leave a trail of fire behind you. It's going to make it really difficult to be chased. Yep. So there is that. And then I think probably the biggest thing on here is probably the flying. Getting access to flying relatively early is nice, and there's not much limitation to it. I mean, you have proficiency uses per day, but it does help you get around, different exploration, maybe some puzzle stuff always comes into play when you start getting able to fly. So with all of that, we gave it a 3 out of 5, primarily because of the focus on the exploration side of the roleplay.
Yep. On the combat side of things, there are 2 major factors that give this bumps and pluses to flumps. Bumps and pluses to flumps. Can you say anything?
Hey.
About that? It's obvious with the combat cycle movement, maneuverability, especially when you have the ability to turn as much as you want later on. You're just able to get around the battlefield basically at will without, with disadvantage on opportunity attacks against you and getting around that. And also you can heal the thing if it does get damaged, and of course the ton of survivability you get because either you can take hits for the cycle if you really need to, but primarily it's going to be taking hits for you most of the time, unless it's getting low on health and you need to keep it alive so you can keep moving and everything else. And giving it and yourself evasion while you're on it in combat, giving yourself a ton of extra survivability that a ranger doesn't normally have access to. Of course, you're going to get some extra damage things along with it, like your momentum strike, the fire, trail of damage is there. It's not a ton of damage, but it doesn't cost you anything extra as far as from what you normally can do. You're just choosing to do it as you run across the battlefield. But it also, I think, more commonly what can be used as a deterrent to maybe create these barriers, kind of soft barriers Because, if you're trying to maybe pin somebody into a section, you can maybe draw like a little half-circle dome and kind of corner somebody in there with like your barbarian or your paladin.
Sure.
You can kind of create your own kind of battleground mechanics. You're not a full-on druid by any means. You can just make up the terrain however you feel like it. Just mold and shape and do whatever. But you're able to do some maneuvering and things like that. You have access to flying if you really needed to in combat. You can, get up and over some terrain and other things like that. And of course, being able to move on different surfaces. Again, a ton of movement on top of the spells you're getting access to as well. Like haste, for example, blur, getting both a good offensive spell and some defense with blur.
Right.
So there's a lot of small helps to you, bringing your floor up and giving you a ton of maneuverability and things. But there's not a ton of potent offensive power to this.
Right.
There's definitely some good defense and some maneuverability and things. The question is going to be limited as to, okay, what it does. And how well can you execute what this gives you?
Right.
So we gave it a 3.5 out of a possible combat. We had a harder time, I think, scoring this one because it's very. This is one of the more, I guess, stepping out of the traditional fantasy realm because you have a vehicle that's doing stuff, not just not just yourself. You're going to get a mounted combat of any kind, which is very, 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 very uncommon in 5th edition. Like there's Cavalier Fighter.
There's a handful. I mean, paladins have like greater steed.
But that's a spell they're casting. Right. It's not a whole thing built into their subclass and the whole mechanic on it.
So yeah, definitely some interesting stuff with that. And again, too, it's a little bit on the niche side, but the extra defensive capabilities do definitely help.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then with synergy, again, flying is always welcome just for anything. It's never a bad thing to have flying. And again, the extra survivability is really nice. Being able to redirect damage to you or the cycle. Getting evasion, it is late. I mean, level 15 to get evasion is up there. But on top of the evasion with the redirecting damage can help. You get benefits from not provoking opportunity attacks as well. So there's a lot of utility with that. And then being able to push things, potentially knock things prone, potentially the wall of fire to kind of add some extra battlefield control. Definitely can help. And just more mobility, some added utility, some nice, decent options, but nothing really crazy.
Right.
Just, if anything, interesting.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. If we had a fourth category for interesting, this is like minimum 4, probably 4.5 to 5 for interesting.
Yes, but we don't. So,
we don't.
Synergy, we have also a 3.5.
Yeah.
So, a nice, unique subclass for this, especially if you're, Ghost Rider kind of vibes you're going for.
Kind of Ghost Rider vibes?
For sure. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit more different, a different option for, again, a mounted combatant, because there aren't a ton of options for those. And this whole thing is built around it. So that definitely can help if you're looking for that kind of character.
And it gets one of those things where, again, there's not a ton of potency as far as extra damage and things, but the defenses will keep you alive.
Right.
And your DPS and damage numbers are 0 if you are dead.
Exactly. So there is that. But that's going to be all for today, guys. Again, if you're interested in more of these kind of out there campaign settings, or even sci-fi or other kind of things, let us know. But this is just dabbling a little bit into that with the fantasy side, kind of giving some arcane crystal vibes with it as well. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when all of our new videos are coming out. Thanks again to our sponsors. Check them out. Links down below for all of that. Always worth a look from them.
Yep.
And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks to our sponsor, Hit Point Press, and their Big Bads, bringing you a new boss each and every month. Paragon the Weathermaker is October's big bad. Can you ground Paragon, or will the Weathermaker cloud your judgment? History, lore, everything you need to throw these villains into your campaign.
Create some fun opportunities and unique things to throw at even your most experienced players would not see coming.
So check out the link in the description down below.